As a certain pop group said, shout, shout, let it all out. Spurs are a team we've got to talk about. Come on, I'm talking to you. Newcastle United 4, Tottenham Hotspur 0 on Saturday, the 12:30 p.m. kickoff. Tottenham Hotspur Football Club got an absolute beating at St. James's Park. Welcome to the reaction show. Hello, welcome to Paxton Road TV, PRTV Spurs, all your Tottenham Hotspur Football Club related shows, events, whatever you want to call it, win, lose or draw, will be here. And if you missed the intro, Tottenham Hotspur got an absolute battering at St. James's Park for the second time in 2 years. Last season it was 6-1, this season it was 4-0. Did anyone expect a defeat? Did anyone expect it in the manner that it happened? A complete no-show from Tottenham Hotspur and the players. Is Ange to blame? Is the players to blame? Who is to blame? Joining me to do the reaction show is, as always, the one, Mr. Sam for Life. Good evening, Sam. We have had over 48 hours now to sit back, contemplate, watch it all over. I know you didn't watch the game at the time because you was at a wedding, and I'm assuming you've seen the highlights. But for everyone that watched the game, have you recovered? Please can I have your comments in the section. What went wrong? I thought Fulham was going to be the worst we could get for Spurs, Sam. But boy, was this an absolute pathetic performance.
Yeah, scoreline. That's all you need to look at. I keep saying it's about the goals at the end of the day and chances created, chances given up. And yeah, if we actually think about it, we've had this kind of situation a few times this season in terms of teams being able to score. Certainly teams have always got opportunities to score against us in terms of chances, but this time they took their chances. And so, yep, that's what happens to us.
Do you know what? There's a lot to talk about. I wasn't expecting that kind of a performance. I don't know if anybody else was. Yes, we got beat 4-0. Yes, we ate humble pie. But do you know what? At least put in a performance. Turn up. How many fans travelled to St. James's Park? We'll talk about that, fans, and we'll talk about the seating as well, because I've got a couple of things I want to say about that as well. If you're joining us for the first time on PRTV Spurs, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button. And as always, we'll be bringing you more content. There's already a few people in the comment section, and I'm already reading them. I will bring them on as and when required. But yes, we will go through all yours. So, Sam, we done the preview on Friday. You said 3-2. I said 3-2. I don't think there was anyone in the comment section or anyone watching that actually said Spurs were going to get beat. Everybody was expecting a decent game. And I'm not going to lie. My son said to me, Dad, seriously, are you expecting Spurs to walk over this Newcastle? Because even though they haven't got some of their players, that team that was out, actually, he did say, look at their defense. We're going to smoke them. They've got Kraut at the back. They've got Burns. They've got, I think it was, who played centre? A shot. What's his name? Shaw, and whoever else played centre back. And I said to him, well, yeah, it will be. But little did we realise that it was going to happen the way it did. So I know you didn't watch the game, Sam, but
I watched enough of it.
You watched enough of it. So let's go into that then, and then we'll go into the stats and everything. But on a overall, what did you make of it?
Shocking. It's shocking. As I said, I watched highlights on Match of the Day. Seen that a couple of times. Seen a bit of extended highlights. But again, I didn't need to see too much more other than the scoreline to know exactly how and what. We had the majority of possession, correct? Probably. I don't even know that, but I know that's probably true. I haven't seen that. I didn't even need to know that once I'd heard the score, because I said I was at the wedding, looked at my phone, and I was like, this is embarrassing. But I only saw the end scoreline, so I didn't see what happened in terms of when they scored. First half looked, first 20 minutes, half an hour, we had some opportunities. Definitely in the first half, we had some opportunities to score. And like I keep saying, we don't have consistency in our players. There's no consistent player like week in, week out. I thought that was going to be Mickey van der Ven when he come back off injury, but we'll talk about that. Romero again. Vicario, we was talking about him, giving him massive praises, and still to this point, I'm going to say he's definitely an upgrade on what we had in the Reese, but there are some things that need to be looked at in terms of his vulnerabilities. The back four, without the protection that's required, are going to be under a lot of pressure, and then all it takes is for our front line not to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, should I say, and this is the result.
I don't think they can put a goal up at the moment, never mind the ball. But yeah, I hear you. Juice Nuts is saying here, when you were a schoolboy and hated going to school because of the subjects and classes, except for PE, which I sort of liked, today's stream reminds me of that. Dread talking about another predictable, dire game. It was shocking, Sam. And like I said to you before, the Fulham game, I thought it was a anomaly where, you know, we can't be that bad again this season. Although me and you have had this conversation many times, Sam, and I have said to you, and I think I said to you today, name me one actual game this season where we've actually played well for a full 90 minutes. I'm not talking about 45 minutes first off or 45 minutes second off, but an actual game where we've actually thoroughly enjoyed watching Spurs for a full 90 minutes. Aston Villa, yes and no. Second half, yes, and then they went down to 10 men. But apart from that, I haven't seen Spurs put a proper good performance. We've had decent patches in games, but we've not had a comfortable game, a comfortable win where we can actually sit back and say, do you know what? I really enjoyed that. Have you?
I'm just looking at some of the results because I have to do this to be able to get some sort of context to that. The 5-2 against Burnley, that was a good game. We knocked 5 in against them. That was in September. You know, we could probably even look to, again, not saying that we played 90 minutes consecutive, but that was quite a good performance away from home against Burnley, even though it was Burnley. And then I'm looking through now. I don't see anything, Sid. Like I said, the 4-1 against Newcastle when we played them in December, possibly. And even the Brighton game we played them when we beat them recently. But I still don't think it's been a commanding performance where you say, yeah, once we got that first goal, that's it, we're going to win this game. We sometimes score first, we sometimes don't. You know, we've had the record where we've been the team that scored the most goals, the most opening goals and not won matches. Yeah. And then we've seen a situation now where if we concede the first goal, it's a long day. And this is what it was about Newcastle. I said we have to score the first goal away from home when you're playing in that stadium. Remember, we talked about it. That stadium is going to be rampant. If you give them any sort of leg up at all, it's going to be dire. But again, it comes back down to what I've said previously. If managers in this Premier League have any sort of nous about them, you can watch previous games from Spurs and you can set up accordingly. They set up with a 5-3-2, I believe it was, and they scored the goals. We'll go into how they scored the goals. And I'll do some breakdown of that because it's easy. It's easy. And it's easy to kind of defend more so, but you also need players that will have some ability to fight. No fucking player decided they wanted to fight. Nobody. And that I can't take. Fulham, we did the same thing. We can't do this with 6 games to go. With 7 games to go, it wasn't that time. So, terrible.
Do you know what? There's so many... I'm going to say, but there's so many negatives from there. It's just unbelievable. Our very own Pav. Sorry, lads, I couldn't make it today. My take from this game was one word: shocking. We were poor. No creativity, no fight in us to win. The fact we had so much possession yet no goals was poor, should I say. And then David Clark, the most hilarious statement from a Spurs player this week came from the Spurs captain, Son, who said he urges his teammates to turn up when he was useless and was the previous 2 games. Is he serious? Do you know what? I think there's a lot of things we need to talk about, and we'll talk about that. I don't know whether you want to do it on talking points or not, but there is a lot, and the captaincy, the management in terms of who the leader on the pack. I don't think we've got anyone at this minute. Yeah. But David, what's he saying? Why can't I see all these people, other people in the comments? Or are they on private? What's going on? You shouldn't be, Dave, Alex. It depends what stream you're watching it from, but you shouldn't be. There should be people on there. Am I right, Sam?
Yeah, there's people on there. You should be able to see once you're on YouTube. You should be able to see everybody's, unless your settings are such that you can't. That might be it. I don't know.
Everyone's on there, right? So it's got to be done. So let's do this then. So 4-0, and this is the thing. That's the bizarre thing, right? For an away team to go to any ground, I'm not saying St. James's Park. I don't mean Etihad, Emirates, Anfield, Old Trafford. For an away team in the first half, 66% possession. Yeah, 66. They had 34. We had 10. They had 10 shots. We had 5. Shots on target, they had 5. We had 2. Off target. Shots on target, we had 1 on target. They had 2 shots on target. 66% possession, we had 1 shot on target. Shots in and outside the box, they had 10 in, none. We had 4 and 1 from outside. They had 110 passes. Yeah, 71% success rate. St. James's Park, Newcastle United at home, 110 passes at home. We had 247. They had 37 passes in our half. We had 122. 21 touches in our box. We had 15 in theirs. Sam, they had 37 passes in our half, and they scored 2 goals in that first half with 34% possession. What does that say to you?
Well, I can break down what Newcastle did, having watched and seen their setup. I haven't been able to see it in depth and probably need to watch the game, but I think they set up with a 5-3-2 formation of some kind. Definitely had 5 at the back and 2 players up top. Now, again, I said this before. My ultimate formation, because I've kind of gone on from 5 or 4. How can you play Spurs? You can play a 4 at the back, but you need to have 2 up top. If you've got 2 players up top, you could play a 4-3-1-2 system or any sort of combination of that. But as long as you've got 2 players up top and you know what to do with the ball once you get it back, we're always susceptible. Again, fullbacks inverted in the middle of the park, close to whoever's playing in midfield. If you leave 2 players up top and you're brave and you don't bring all your players back to defend, which is what low blocks usually do, you've got outlets. Their outlets were Gordon and Alexander Isak. Now, I watched Alexander Isak score his goals. He looked like he had enough pace to get away from Van der Ven, let alone just keep up. He was getting away from him at times. So that was a bit of a shocker as well, one thing. But Gordon's no slouch as well. So as soon as you win the ball back, the reason why they don't need to have as many touches, because they didn't pass it into midfield. They played it direct. If you play into the channels direct, you're leaving 2v2. Because it's our centre-backs that are having to do that defending and nobody else, because you go bypass the midfield. And even when you get players back, it's all disjointed, because when your players are starting to chase back, everybody's kind of pulled position and it's messy. And we've seen, once you do that, the defence, they just can't get any shape together, because they're effectively got so many players in attacking areas that we don't have the capability to get back quickly enough to get shape back, because teams play quickly on transition. That's how you do Spurs. As long as you don't mess about in midfield and start playing it around to allow us to get back into shape, you disrupt us and play into them channels and keep moving quickly forward, we can't get our shape back. And then it's pulling players all over position. And to be honest with you, we're not that good at defending. That's the bottom line as well, Sid. We're not that good at defending.
I mean, that first off, Sam, they had 10 shots, 5 off target, 2 on target. and they scored with them 2. And then I'm assuming the other 3 were blocks. However, every time, and I think you said it the other day, and every single manager now, every single manager knows exactly how Spurs are going to play and counter-attack. And Gordon looked like a world beater. We're making players look like world beaters. I think Gordon is a good player, but on Saturday, we made him look like prime Barcelona player. Every time he got the ball, he was running at our defenders, and we did not have a clue. Ashley Barnes done the same. Isaac done the same. The 3 of them caused us grief time after time, attack after attack, and how we was only 2-0 down, I don't understand it. But does our manager react to that? No, I'm going to play the same way. I'm going to continue playing the same way. They were ripping a-holes out of our defense. They didn't have a clue. Our midfield is now becoming non-existent. It does not. I don't know what it is. It's just not working. I think Bissouma had another poor game. Bentancur was not any better. And Maddison, week in, week out, he just seems to be drifting more and more apart. So it's I don't know. Do you know what? It's a bizarre one. Absolutely.
Let me just tell. Sorry, let me just, because you mentioned about Newcastle and their players. Let me just give you their start 11. You probably, because we'll look at the Spurs start 11. We don't usually look at the oppositions. Dubravka in goal, Jacob Murphy, Shah, Kraft, Byrne, Longstaff, Guimaraes, Anderson, Barnes, Isak, Gordon. They brought on White, Dummett, Livramento, Ritchie.
Yeah.
And they didn't even use the other 4 subs. And
Jacobs Murphy is not even a right back, and he played right back.
They're taking the piss. They've got injuries, and they basically just said, well, and this is my biggest concern at this moment in time, and I hope it can change, is that part in the pre-match press conference with Ange, where he was asked about the Dyer comment about tactics. Now, that Dyer somehow, I'm not going to try and butcher it, but Dyer said he doesn't do anything about tactics. I've disagreed with that comment and said, well, everything you do in training is tactical. Because if you say, well, we're going to train like this, it's tactical. But the biggest issue I had with that is when he said something to the effect of, oh, well, if he means that we don't look at what the opposition doing, he's right. We don't do that. We only focus on ourselves. I was like, oh, my God. That means you have to be the best team. You have to be the best team with the best players and be the best to be able to say we don't care about anybody else. Because I don't think any other team in the Premier League can say that. No other manager can say that. They might have the attitude and the arrogance to think they can do that, but behind closed doors, they're never going to do that. So that was the worry for me. He doesn't concern himself about the opposition. Now, the opposition obviously concerns themselves about us because, like I said, they set up with a 5 at the back at home, because they said, okay, we're going to be solid at the back. We're going to be solid in midfield, and we're going to have 2 players up top who can run the channels. And let's see what happens. 4-0. There you go.
Yeah.
Fucking disgusting.
Gordon, Isaac, and Barnes proved how bad our forward line is. Right. So do you know what? Do you know what they say? Chances dictate how the game's going to go, and we'll talk about that. Because in the first 2 minutes, we should have gone 1-0 up. In fact, we should have gone 1-0 up. Use your head in football. That's what it's all about. Using your head, literally. And this guy didn't use his head mentally or literally, right? He's put that in the back of the net. We're 1-0 up. And then he had another opportunity. We could have gone 2-0 up. Yet, instead, unfortunate, because they were waxing lyrical about Van der Ven constantly. And then he slips for the first one. And then he slips for the second one. Now, we can talk about it now or we can talk about that later. His pace, yes, okay, it's Usain Bolt levels. But as a defender sometimes, and I think Carragher said it at half-time, or Rio Ferdinand said it, you can have all the pace in the world, but when you're defending and running at the back, you need to slow down. Otherwise, like it proved, you're either going to slip or they're going to turn you one way and then the other and they score. And as much as I love Van der Ven, I think unless you've got somebody else as good as you next to you that you can play that to that level, you need to start slowing down a little bit. And I think maybe that was the cause of the goals. I don't know, but it sort of needs to slow down.
Yes, that's part of it. But for me, the bigger part of it is anticipation. If you anticipate what's going to happen in football, that's how you can look better than you are. John Terry's not the quickest defender. I'm going to use that as an example. Sorry to use a Chelsea example, but John Terry, not the quickest defender in the world, but anticipated fantastic well. Even Jamie Carragher, not the biggest, not the strongest, not the most pacey, but he had a great career at Liverpool because he anticipated, he was brave, blah, blah, all the rest of it. What I'm saying is the very simple saying in football, no pressure on the ball, you have to drop in terms of defending your goal. We play this high line. It's not even so much the high line's a problem. It's what you then do when you turn over possession. Our players seem desperate to stay on that halfway line. Now, the moment you see us turn over possession, which we do quite a lot, particularly in a midfield area or certainly in an area where they can play a long pass, the defenders have to make a decision. If you're 2v2 with 2 against you, you have to drop. You have to try and delay to allow your players to come back. Once you try and, I'm going to hold the line and it goes over the top, it's a foot race. And like I said, everybody's disjointed. If you drop back them 5 yards before the ball's played, right, you've got 2 things. The play is in front of you. You can then shepherd someone into an area which will allow your players to get back in and then you can defend. What we seem to be doing is allowing the foot race to happen, into the channels. One of our centre-backs has to go across. It pulls everybody across to that side. And then I don't see enough urgency for the midfielders to get back in. We can talk about Basuma, we can talk about Bentancur, but that's the biggest problem for me, is the anticipation of players not realising that we're not as good as we think we are. Really not as good as we think we are.
Yeah. Second half didn't get any better, to be fair. I don't even know why I carried on watching it. But again, 21% possession for Newcastle in the second half. Spurs had 79% possession. They had 8 shots. We had 6. 3 off target. We had 2 off target. They had 3 on target, scored 2. We had 1 shot on target in the second half. Shots inside, outside the box. 79 passes, Sam. Have you ever seen or heard of a team at home having 79 passes in a half of football? We had 329. 27 passes in our half. We had 186 in theirs. And look at that. They had 79 passes and they had 11 touches in our half. We had 328 and only 12 touches in their box. Again, this just proves how piss poor Spurs were.
Well, it does in a way. It proves, obviously the scoreline proves that. But what this is not dissimilar to Forest. Probably not dissimilar to Wolves. Not too dissimilar to Fulham. Basically, what I'm saying is we seem to have the majority of possession in most of the games, and we seem to have upwards of 65 to 70% and even more at times. Teams allow us to have the ball. They allow us. Only the better teams. Like when we come to play Arsenal, it will be a battle of who gets possession. But they might even decide, you know what? Looking at that, Spurs can have 328 passes. They can have 186 passes in the attacking half. But yet we get one more touch in the box than what Newcastle did with 21% possession. It tells me everything. The tactics for them were, we can allow them to have the ball because they're not doing anything with it in the defensive third. We can even allow them to have the ball in our half, but we know what we're doing because we've got a back 5 with a 3 with a 2, and we can probably get into a 5-4-1 if we need to. But you know what? They give the ball away quite a lot. So you know what? We don't need to bring all the players back. Let's keep Isak and Gordon up top, and if we win the ball back, we're going to get it to them. That's all they did, Sid. That's all they did.
Right. So, obviously, we all saw the game. Let's have our very own Mr. Tottenham Toffossi. Sean is back in the house. He's been away. He's back in the house, sunning it, living it large. And then he comes back to watch this diet of a show at the weekend. Look at the expression. Says it all. Good evening, Sean. How are you? And you're on mute. Oh, no, you're not.
I'm not on mute. No,
you're right. How are you?
Hello, chaps. How are you?
I would have said you should have stayed in Turks. You should have stayed in Turks and Caicos.
I travel and we beat Nottingham Forest, so I missed the game. I sit down at 7:30 in the fucking morning to watch Tottenham Hotspur go up to Newcastle with half their team missing.
I know.
And they turn in, they turn in that performance. Shocking, unacceptable. And yeah, I get from the tone, I believe, Ange gave them a right rocket at the end of the game, and so he should. They were bloody dreadful.
Juice is asking, Sean doesn't tan. Did he vacation at the North Pole?
I've seen the evidence. He wasn't in the North Pole. He was definitely in Turks. It was very fucking sunny and fucking bloody beachy and lovely. So I know that.
He was. Just remind everyone, Sean, where was you?
I was in a town called Providenciales in the Turks and Caicos, sunning it up, but avoiding the sun because as a Celtic person, we go red. We go red really, really easy. And anyway, why do you want to go in the sun when you can sit in a bar with ice cold Corona?
Facts.
Absolutely. David is saying here, and he's shouting at us in capital letters, have you lot got the heating off or something? What's with the winter clothing?
Look at me with my summer shirt on. I've literally just walked through the door.
Listen, it was a cold performance.
Oh,
it was a shocking, frosty, cold performance. So we're dressed accordingly. A cold performance means we're dressing up so that people think we're cold, but we're not really cold. Sean, I want your take on this second. And overall, then, at St. James's Park, you're going to St. James's Park, and you have 73% possession against the team, like you said, have got every player out and suspended. You have 11 shots to their 18. Okay, they had 8 on target. We had 4 on target. Off target, sorry. They had 5 on target and they scored 4. We had 2 on target. Shots inside and outside, 16 to 2, 6 and 5. They had 189 passes at home. We had 575 passes. They touched the ball 64 times in our half. 308 times passes, sorry. And then touches, they had 32 in our box. We had 27. Looking at them stats, you're probably thinking Spurs won that game, wouldn't you? Not get battered, hammered, annihilated, embarrassed 4-0.
No, it's. I mean, it just goes to show, and I'm not a stats person. The only stat that counts is the scoreline for me. You can have all the possession you want, but if you're passing it around in your own half, and there was 20 minutes in the second half where we never got out of our half.
That's right.
I mean, it was shocking. It's like pass, but it was just, even when it went forward, it was coming back again. I've just never seen, and we haven't got a forward that can hold the ball up, have we? We just, I mean, I think the experiment of Son at number 9 is done. I do think it's done because he gets bullied and he loses the ball too easily. But unbelievable, shocking. The whole game turns on those 1.5 minutes in the first half.
Yep.
That 1.5 minutes. I mean, it was bad enough that we conceded the goal to Isaac. That was but then for Porro to present on a play a goal to Gordon, that killed the game. Newcastle then could just go back into a medium block, or they could, or if they felt like it, the high press. What I was looking for is keeping it tight and tiring them out. You can't maintain that press, but once you allow them a 2-goal lead, they can do what they want. They can do. You just concede the initiative to the team And, you know, we've seen some really good defensive displays. We've seen, I saw Atalanta against Liverpool.
Yeah.
Unbelievable performance. And then Crystal Palace obviously watched Atalanta on Sunday and did exactly the same job. And it just goes to show, you know, all managers need to realise that you need to put in a shift. But if we don't move them, we don't move.
What you just said about the managers, what Ajax manager and then Crystal Palace did, watching them and blah blah blah. This is exactly what teams are doing to us. This is what Eddie Howe's done. He just has to go back 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games and just watch exactly what we do, because the percentage of possession is the same, pretty much is what it was for the last few games that we've had. Everything's the same. They all still get a load of shots on goal, and all you've got to do is set up accordingly. And you do need a bit of luck. We can giving them that goal and giving them a 2-0 basic 2-0 head start allows them, as exactly what you said. They can play any way they like. Then you have to keep the St. James's crowd out of the game for as long as possible. Yeah. And if you can, I'm not saying it's the be all and end all, but if you get that first goal, it changes everything. It changes everything. If you've got a team that can, okay, now we can, because if you control the game with 73% possession and you're winning, team has to press you. They have to press you, like what Villa did to Arsenal yesterday. They said, right, we're going to have the ball here. You come and press us. And they were brave to play it from their keeper, the Jamie Carragher analysis that he did of the game. I implore people to watch that, how he broke down what Aston Villa did well, how they beat him. Now, that's on Sky. Now, we should all be watching that and thinking to ourselves, wow, that's how you play Arsenal. But are we going to do that?
No.
If our manager's saying to ourselves that he's going to play his own way, Arsenal will... I even think Arsenal may look at the games and think to themselves, you know what? As much as we want to be the team in possession, we might allow Spurs to have the ball because we've got better quality in terms of being able to get through these lot than they seem to have at this moment in time. And that's my concern. If you just work with a system and you get a bit of luck with it, we've got a lot of problems. But that can be rectified. We could have played directly, as you just said. If you're playing the ball around and you can't get out for 20 minutes, play fucking direct, play over the top every now and again, get players right. We've got fucking free speed merchants on. Free speed merchants on in Timo Werner, bloody Son and Johnson. What more do you want in terms of speed and ability to get balls in? You don't even have to be direct with playing the accurate passes. Just turn the defenders round. I'm so frustrated because I can see what can be done, and it's you just don't want to see your team make the same mistakes over and over and over again.
So in terms of the team then, guys, how do you want to play this? Do you want to put the whole team up, or shall we go player by player?
I don't have enough detail about how the players play. Just put the team up. I'm not sure. Just put a fucking team up.
And then we'll talk about individuals because I want to talk about them, right? So we'll talk about, Vicario, Porro, Ogidi, Romero, Van der Ven, Bissouma, Bentancur, Maddison, Johnson, Timo Werner, and Mr. Son. Right. For me, Vicario is a massive upgrade on Hugo Lloris. But defending at corners, he needs to be more solid. He needs to be brave, and he isn't. And even the commentators were saying the same. Yeah, he stays on his line too much. Pissed me off on Saturday is when he's got the ball, his decision making is so poor. He gets the ball at the back. There was a couple of times when the midfielders or defenders were crying for the ball over the top as well. Nope. He wants to control it, pass it around. He's looking up. And then, I mean, I don't know about you guys if you saw it or not. Did you see every time we got the ball as a goal kick, Van der Ven and Romero on the right? They had 4 players on the edge of the box, ready for the press. We had no clue. He had no clue what to do. And then he just kicks it up to nobody and Newcastle won the ball. He done it time and time again. I'm not saying get rid of him. I'm not saying he's shit. He just needs to learn this. And I think the team and the defenders around him need to learn that. As for the back 5, I think Destiny had another poor game. Pedro Porro had a poor game. I don't know what he was doing for that second goal. That pass, I don't know if he was looking at Firmino, looking for a no-look pass. But you cannot legislate and get away with passes like that in games like this, where there's so much to play for, and it cost us the game. For me, and I said this to you, Sam, I think I've said it to you, Sean, on paper, these 5 at the back looks like one of the best in the Prem. But on the pitch, man, there's some serious work that needs doing, because as a unit, I think they're shocking, and it's not getting better. What's your thoughts on the back 5, lads? Sam, Sean, whoever wants to take it away.
Yeah, I think we've got good individual players, but as a unit, they're not up to it. They're not up to it currently. They're not playing very well. Whether it needs a change of formation, I'm hoping that in these next 2 weeks they're looking at other options. But yeah, I do believe that you can. They've worked out a bit about our inverted fullbacks, and I think the doggy was too weak on one of those goals. The first goal I think was down to him. He was easily muscled off the ball, and he's very. I've noticed he's very, very left-footed, very left-footed, he was easily dispossessed for the first goal. But again, he's youngster, 21. Let's not,
Of course.
he will improve. This is his first season, and this is kind of what's going to happen. I think it's just. This coming on the back of Fulham.
Yeah.
It's just but he did warn us it would happen, and we have to remember that this is it's a bedding in process. It even took that time at Celtic to get it really correct. Celtic were lucky in that they only had one rival, whereas we've got 5 or 6 teams around us, So, but I do feel as a unit, there's not a unity, and if you don't have unity, it doesn't matter. You could have the best back 4 in the world, but if they're not operating as a unit, then we need to. We're going to give chances away, and we're going to give goals away. But also, I think the key thing is that man, Basuma.
We'll talk about the midfield in a minute, Sean.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the midfield. Sam, just before you have your say on that, also, can we talk about the zonal marking as well? Because what is the point of having a zonal marking system when every single corner they got, and I think they had about 16 or 17, they put us under pressure. We cannot take corners. We cannot defend corners. Who the hell is marking who at this zonal marking? It's ridiculous.
Well, you said it there, because it's zonal. They don't mark. So the problem being I'm going through coaching things that I expect top level bloody professionals to be up to this. It's a grass level. You do part zonal and you do part man marking. You try and man mark their strongest players in the air. Their 4th goal that was scored by Shah, was it Shah that scored?
Yeah.
He was basically unchallenged. Adogi came in and did one of them side thingies. It went over somebody's head who couldn't miss, because they're all not marking the player that's going to be one of the strongest in the air. I can see that. They probably had 4 or 5 corners before that where he was doing the same thing. It's under instruction. So if they're under instruction, this is what the players are going to do. Nobody in that team is going to break out of that and say, right, let's do marking, get tight to him. Then nobody's going to do that, because we don't have that type of player in that squad. We don't. Son's not that player, and nobody else is there. I would have said Romero to a degree, but even he looks like he's been, he's had one of his balls. He's been castrated almost. He's been one of his balls, because he's not the same player aggressively as he's been before. That could be good. It could be bad. In certain situations like this, it's not good, because you want somebody to be aggressive, close, and making sure you challenge the best player who's going to be the most likely to score from a set piece, which was him. He's a centre back. What do you expect? Come on, it's not rocket science. The rest of it, yeah, if they're going to block Vicario, I'm not going to blame him. He's in his first season. We talked about early doors. He's improved for me enough to say that going forward, he's going to get better. He does need to improve on certain things, but every single goalkeeper in the league, apart from the ones, every single goalkeeper in the league makes mistakes and does things like that. Allison, what's his name at Manchester City? All of it.
Yeah.
Best keeper I've seen has been, what's his name, Martinez at Aston Villa this season, I believe. Going, and like I said, there's not enough protection. The other last thing I want to say about the defense is 3 of them are new players in the team, Van de Ven Udogie and obviously Van Vicario. The other 2, one of them being not so long there, and Herrera's probably the only one that's been there for a while. But we don't have 4 defenders. 2 of them play in midfield most of the time. We're playing with 2 defenders. I've seen what Porro's best qualities are. It's going forward. I've seen Udogie's best qualities is going forward. Now, he's probably been a bit stronger defensively, but now he's been found out a little bit more because of where he's playing. You can't play 2v2 a lot of the time and expect not to concede goals. We have to be better in that aspect. So, yeah, there's things that need to be done. Maybe even a change of formation. 3 at the back, possibly.
And even, okay, yes, you're both saying both them left backs and right backs not very good at defending. If you actually break down the stats and actually have a look at it, what have they actually done going forward as well? Do you know what? I won't complain if they were top of the list on assisting or creating chances or doing whatever, but I don't even think they're doing that.
One thing I'll just add to that is I don't think they're necessarily there to create as much, but what they do is to overload, is to give more options in terms of passing. Hence the reason why we've got so many great passing stats, because they're there as options to be able to pass. They can get into the, when you're playing out from the back, they're in the full-back area. As soon as we get the ball into midfield, they're in the midfield area. So we're controlling the passes, hence the reason 300 odd passes. I want to see them, if they are going to play there and we are going to be so brave, yes, you're right. They need to do more to get into an advanced position. Maybe Porro scored a few goals. Maybe Udogie's got to the byline a few times, but they need to do more of that if we are going to not do so much of the defending or allow them not to be fullbacks as the traditional fullbacks are.
I know, Sean, you want to talk about this one in particular, but let's talk about the midfield then. I think the midfield 3, no matter who he plays, last few games, I think, my personal opinion, I think they've been very poor. This guy has been shocking. Maddison, for me, and I don't know if you read that article, someone put it on there, but that reporter from The Guardian or whatever, what they said about Maddison, I think it's a bit unfair. Yeah. If he would have had a stormer yesterday, then he probably would have said, oh, well, Newcastle missed out. But just because he had a stinker, you don't say that, oh, you know what, best move to Newcastle made not getting him because he's crap, blah, blah, blah. But in general, Sean, what are you making of this midfield now?
It was a bit strange because I thought early doors we were quite fluid, you know. Bentancur and Maddison and Bissouma were moving the ball about really well, but it was just, and you know, we did create chances early in the game, but they seem to, you know, once a goal doesn't come, they tend to get nervous. They seem to get, you know, tentative, and you know, the passes aren't as crisp, and you know, I lost count the number of times I was going, how a pass, you know, a sideways pass would be slightly behind a defender or to feet when it needed to be in front of him in order to take it in stride. And those little, you know, those things just completely don't help when you're trying to build a fluid type of football. And I just lost, you know, I must admit, you know, there are players who must be thinking, well, you know, if Bissouma's getting picked on his current form, you know, what have I done wrong? You know, I mean, you know, I've got a little soft spot for it. Oliver Skipper. Oliver Skipper, I think would do a better job at number 6 than bloody Bissouma in a minute. I'm just, I don't get it. But you know, obviously, I don't see the training, and you know, Ange has invested a lot in Bissouma, so We'll wait and see. I thought Bentancur was okay, but then faded out of the game. But then that was when everyone faded out of the game. You know, he wasn't any worse or any better than any other player. You know, so I was just, it was just a mishmash of nothing. You know. And I was just so disappointed.
And I
So
think
disappointed.
David Clark mentioned something. I can't remember where the thing is, but creativity. We have got no creativity at all in that midfield. You'd think buying Madison and early doors at beginning of the season, everything was all right, but the creativity is gone. You take Madison out of the game, Basuma Bentancur ain't creating jack shit. There's Lo Celso apparently now wants to leave at the end of the season because he's saying he's not happy because he's not getting no game time. I hear what you're saying.
Can understand that. I mean, it's a shocking waste of that guy's talent. He was brilliant against Manchester City in the away game in the league.
Yeah,
absolutely. He scored an absolute worldie from the edge of the box, outside the edge of the, outside the edge of the box, and he gets what? He gets another 10-minute cameo when the game's done.
Yeah,
shocking.
And I don't know about you, Sam. I don't know about you, Sean. He was the one that showed fight at the end when he started having a fight with Bruno Guimaraes. Yeah, he obviously clearly he was fired up, but that's the kind of players you want. Fight, show some freaking fight and spirit. None of them did. He did, because he obviously didn't want that result, but the rest of them didn't think of that. Sam, what did you think of the midfield three?
Yeah, just off mute. Madison and Bentancur, obviously, I don't think we're going to see the best of them two now until probably next season now, both coming off long-term injuries, Bentancur more so. Also, I don't think they're getting enough. There's not enough in that team for them to have bad games and then not to kind of show up, if that makes sense. If, Madison's not playing well, but then you've got Bentancur or Sarr or Basuma or really taking scruff and Son's playing really well and everybody else, you wouldn't be talking about them other two so much. The fact is, we're relying on spurts in the game. We're relying on us to get goals somehow, score through, Johnson or Werner creating something and then get. We don't seem to have enough goal scorers, in my opinion. Son's got the majority of our goals this season. We've got a lot of goals, but we haven't got enough consistent goal scorers. Richarlison is probably our next leading goal scorer. Hasn't had a kick for the last X amount of time. Is he carrying injury? I've been told he is. That's what he said. He should be back for the next game. The midfield, therefore, I don't think they've got enough confidence in the forward line. I wouldn't have enough confidence in Werner to finish. If I'm going to do the Madison thing, put it on a plate for him, and he misses from 5-6 yards out, that's what you're going to do. You're going to do that. So next time, it's just that little, all it needs is a couple of % of doubt in you for everything to change as a team. And that's what we've got at the moment. There's a little bit of doubt in our clinicalness. We've had to chop and change that front three. So the midfielders are not doing. We've got a midfielder in Basuma. I don't think he's playing anywhere close to what I think he should be playing. And therefore, you don't have enough confidence for him to defend that. So even going forward and going backwards, there's a lack of confidence in there. And once confidence is gone in a football team, in any sport at highest level, you've got a problem. We haven't got confidence in all of our players.
Juice is slowly coming to Sam's
point of view
about Werner. It ain't working. Right. Then I'm going to ask you three on this. I'm going to quickly sum it up. 2 minutes into the game, a ball is played into the box. Even a 1-year-old, even Sandra, anyone can see you are not scoring with your foot because the ball is in the air. You've got time. You're running into the box. Head the fucking ball into the back of the net. What was he trying to do? Trying to freaking volley it? Knee it in? What are you doing? Use your freaking head. Literally use your head. I don't know anyone, and if I'm wrong or if anybody else sees something different, please tell me. How are you not heading that ball and putting your team 1-0 up?
They don't practice heading. I've watched training. Everything's the cutbacks. They don't really do a lot.
But Sam, the ball's played into the area.
It's Timo Werner we're talking about. He's not. I'm not going to get mad at him because he's not a goal scorer. I know what's going to happen. I'm telling you, I don't expect him to come in and nut one into the back post. He's not going to do that. I've never seen him do that. I don't know what we're expecting from him. He does what he does. What we expect from him is to get to the byline. Yes, boss, I can get to the byline. I can cut it back. That's him. Or, boss, I'm going to cut inside. And if I get an opportunity to play it in, I'll do that. Him cutting in the shooting and scoring in the top corner is going to happen once in 100. Him scoring a header from a crossover from the right-hand side is going to be 1 in 100. He's not good enough. He's not good enough. So when people are talking to me about, oh, it's a great deal for now, but if we sign this guy at 165 grand, and I'm always going to come back to this because that shows me Tottenham's intent. And all this talk about we're going to be challenged for a title next season because that's what the manager's told me. We can't do it with these players because none of them front three are going to get better next season. They are just not. Johnson, I'm going to give him a little bit of more time because he's the youngest of them three. So I might have to take back what I just said about him. Maybe he can improve, but he's certainly not going to be the starter. He shouldn't be. We're relying on Johnson to be the man. We need a man on the wing, the man. Now, for me, take Son, put him back on the wing. You don't have to have him up against 2 6'4" defenders when he can't play with his back to goal and he can't flick on. Makes no sense. Put Richarlison there, put him to the left. Werner, impact stuff. That's it. That's all we need to have him as. Yes, boss, what do you want me to do? Get to the byline, boss. I'll get to the byline for you and I'll cross the ball and someone can tap it. He's fucking not going to score you 10, 15, 20 goals. Fuck that. I'm so mad. I'm just...
Question for you both then, right? And I think somebody's put it in the comment section already. £47 million. Palmer went to Chelsea from Manchester City. 45 million Johnson went to Spurs from Nottingham Forest. Last season, and I'm basing this on last season because that's when they both went. Who had the better season, in your opinion, Johnson or Palmer?
I don't know because I don't remember seeing Palmer play last season.
Exactly. So he's gone for 47 million. We've paid 45 for Brennan Johnson. It's it's chalk and cheese at the moment with him and Palmer. Palmer, he scored a hat-trick today. Man is on fire. He looks like a player that Man City are not going to regret. But how on earth have Man City sold him for 47 million? Yet at that time, exactly what you were saying, Sean, Palmer never got a game for Man City. It was dribs and drabs. Yet Johnson was their main man. But looking at it now, you would never think that, would you? And I agree with you, Sam. I'll give Johnson more time because he's still young. He's learning his trade. Confidence will come with that. But as they've said in the comment section, Gordon, Barnes, Isaac, and our front three. It's an absolute shambles, isn't it? I mean, Sean, talk to me about Son, captain number 9. Is he leadership? Is he showing leadership?
Oh, well, not in his performances. No, certainly I would say not in his performances. He's, and I love the guy to death. He's a club man through and through, but he clearly cannot do the back to goal job that you need to do against them. In games against Newcastle where you've got 2 solid centre backs, he just can't hold on to the ball, and that's the problem. We've got no one who can hold on to the ball, really. They're either forced to pass it back, or they're, unless it's a case of the ball's been passed down the line and they've got their fullback beaten. But I mean, to be honest, that chance that you were talking about for Werner, the one where he could have headed it or he could have kicked it, it was kind of neither fish nor fowl of a cross, wasn't it? It wasn't really in the air, but it wasn't really on the ground either. It was kind of, a striker, a proper striker might actually try and attempt to head it. But, a lot of people would try and bring it down and then have a shot. In the end, Werner did not. I was more annoyed at the other one he missed. Because Matheson had actually done what he was there to do. He carved a niche right through their defence, right in a difficult situation. and he squared it across, and it was pathetic. It was pathetic. For me, that was the game where I decided that no, Werner's an experiment which we do not need to follow through on. I mean, you know, I was kind of prepared to see what his contribution would be over, you know, the next 3-4 games.
Yeah.
But you know, if he can't do it against Newcastle, and to be honest, it was 0-0 at that point.
I know.
You know, it's like Sam was saying, if we score the first goal, that's a totally different game. But now, you know, they score once and then Porro presents another one. It's shocking, absolutely shocking.
So,
and you know, I'm concerned about our upcoming game.
So 49 minutes then, Sam, he brings on Porro because he got injured. 57 minutes, he then brings on Sarr and Højbjerg. 58 minutes, he actually took off Son. 58 minutes. So everyone keeps questioning him. Yeah. 58 minutes. Maddison, 81 minutes for Lo Celso. Like you said, Sean, 10 minutes. What's the point? And then obviously the yellow cards. Sam, you want to talk about the front three? And you can, if you want, talk about Werner. And the substitutions as well, if you want.
Well, again, we've only seen the highlights. I can't see the context of the game to understand the subs, but I don't understand the subs as it's. What were we at halftime? Was it 2-0 at halftime?
2-0 at halftime.
And you don't make a sub until 57 minutes. Is that
And
right?
you-
Or no,
no,
sorry,
49.
49. That was 49 was a forced one because of
Forced
the injury.
one. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a few things in there for me. Look at the drop off from Porro to Udogie. Sorry,
Yeah.
Udogie to
Emerson
Royal.
Royal.
We know what Emerson Royal is, not a forward-thinking player. So him playing to be an inverted fullback, trying to create opportunities when you're 2-0 down is not gonna fucking happen. It's not going to happen. He's not that player. So what that sub was about, I know it's forced, it's going to be more defensive anyway. So then why have we got Sarr and Højbjerg coming on and not Lo Celso more attacking? If you're already going to be more defensive because you've got Emerson Royal there, I don't understand that. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And the other thing that doesn't make sense, we've all seen what Kulusevski's been like over the last few weeks. Why is Lo Celso coming on after him? It's just saying to the player, that's how far down the pecking order you are. And you know what? I'm actually going to just play you because Maddison's probably tired now and his attitude's probably gone now. And he might get himself sent off because he's going to kick a play. He was on a yellow card, I believe. I don't know what's going on in that substitution side of things because it doesn't make logical sense. The biggest issue we've got, and I've said this and I'll keep on saying this until we get to the transfer window, the drop off from any player that we bring on, if the 13 or 14 is too much, even if Udogie to come off, we're bringing on Ben Davies. Now, I like Ben Davies, but he's not the same player that can play inverted and do what we expect him to do because he's getting to that age now where he can't keep getting forward and backwards. Dragusin, we've already seen, you're going to have to give him time. But if he plays on the left-hand side, he's going to be a completely different player than what Van der Ven is. You can't play the same way. All I'm saying to Angie is, if you can listen and hear me, you don't have to change your philosophy. You don't have to change your strategy. But you do have to tinker with your players and understand that, right, okay, he can't do the same job. And that's arrogance to the highest order if you think that you can just play the same way all the time. Because in the Champions League, if we make Champions League, for whatever reason we do make Champions League next season, we are going to get some real bad results if we face these big teams. And not even the big teams that just have got experience in the Champions League. Because I can know what to do. I know how to play Tottenham already. And I've only seen them for this year.
David's got a question. Can you tell me what our two inverted fullbacks actually do in regards of creating chances in the inverted positions? To me, bugger all. They don't help Maddison whatsoever. This is
They're
what
supposed to help
before.
with. They're supposed to help with possession. That's if you think about it. They should have more contribution, but realistically, it's to help with the possession. So if Maddison's in the midfield and he's facing a free in midfield, we should outnumber them having 4 or 5 because we've got 2 inverted fullbacks. So we should be able to find a pass easier. But some of the quality of the pass has been awful as well. So I don't know.
And the third goal, or was it the fourth goal, Sean? Van der Ven in their half.
That would be the third goal, yeah.
What was all that about?
Playing Isaac on, yeah.
Freaking hell, man. Come on. that's just stupid. You know, you're 2-0 down already, and you're playing like that against a team that was absolutely paddering you.
To me though, the question has to be asked: where the hell was Porro? Or where the hell was Romero?
I know,
because that comes down his channel.
I know.
Where was Romero?
Exactly.
I mean,
I think
shocking. You know, I mean,
I think Van der Ven needs to go into that training ground today and say, Romero, where are thou, Romero? Because I agree with you. My boy said the same. The ball was played down the right. Where was Romero? 100%. And this is like what you said, Sean. The unity with these defenders, they just cannot. I don't know what it is with them, but as a four, they just can't get it together. There's nothing. It's like they're playing individual. I'll deal with it myself. I'll try and deal with it myself. I don't need you to help me.
I mean, they know their role, but what they don't seem to know is that their role is part of a greater whole. And you can't go inverting away and realise that, hold on a second, if we lose the ball, suddenly we're a bit light at the back of the at the back door. And it seems to me that they're learning this role, but they're not learning the bit that it needs to work in unity, and they're not working in unity. And whether that's something that takes a while, possibly it does. You know, in Ange's defence, he has always improved in his second season. So, but it was, oh God, it was just so disappointing. It was bad. And I felt sorry for those fans. They went up last year and see us get gobbed 6-1, and then they get got again and get gobbed 4-0.
This is a question I want to ask both of you, right? And then you can add whatever else you want to add to it, Sam. Why do Spurs not learn Daniel Levy from other clubs and other chairmen? We get put in the gods when we go to these away grounds. Did you see where they were on Saturday? Freaking hell, I think they needed binoculars. Yeah? When they come to our stadium, they're fucking getting prime seats.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They're getting prime fucking seats week in, week out. Yeah? I'm paying £30 for a ticket. We're getting ripped to shreds with extortionate prices. And now he's getting rid of the discount for the 60 plus. Yet away supporters are getting the fucking best seats.
Our ground it's an entertainment centre. So you come in and you get entertained. So as an away fan, you must love it coming to Spurs. You know what I mean? Oh, that's a nice facilities here. Fantastic. Oh, look, we're right by the pitch. We're literally on the pitch. And all of our crew of people, there's enough of them there. Because we've all been to the games this season at home. And sometimes them away fans could be singing louder than us. That's what away fans do when you're winning and when you're confident. You silence them by getting goals and silence. That's how you do it. But when we are up in the gods, and you're right, because I've been to St. James's Park, you're up in the gods. That's tactically done. Keep them as far away as possible, because they could easily put us in a lower section of there and have a section for us, because we could always sell out away tickets if we wanted to.
Historically, we were always lower down in that same stand. But they've obviously learned their lesson.
Old Trafford, it was lower down.
They learned their lesson.
Yeah,
because it makes a difference. It makes such a difference to small things in professional sport can make such a big difference. And we've even learned. Sorry, even learned to try. You know what Liverpool do at the beginning? They sing their song. They sing the "You'll Never Walk Alone," and it really feels special. We started to kind of instill that. We get the trumpeter doing that, and we're singing. You know what I mean? When the Spurs go marching in, and that feels like right. But we need to get that to be upset where everybody who comes to that ground as an away fan thinks, "Shit, this is Tottenham Hotspur we're playing here," and that's what we do when we go to Anfield. Because every time I've been to Anfield, it's like, "Shit, Liverpool here." Yeah, and them crowds are just so passionate. It's
when you're in the gods,
I'm not feeling you, Sam. I'm sorry, I'm not feeling you.
In what sense?
I've been to Anfield and it is stone quiet.
Yes.
Really quiet.
I agree.
They only start singing when they take the lead.
I'm talking about the start. I'm talking about what they do with the You Never Walk Alone. That gets me good. I'm not talking about anything else. Just that. What I feel is that when they sing that song, and nobody can tell me that that's not going to raise any sort of like hairs on the back, it does. Yeah, I agree with you. It could be quiet. But at the start of the game, I'm thinking, fuck, this is Anfield here. And I've been in here in a midweek game and I've been there on a Saturday. So I know both of the times it was like that. Whether or not, you know what I mean? But how many times have we won at Anfield? Not many.
Yeah. And when you're in the gods, you can sing as loud as you want, but you sort of get drowned out, don't you? Because you're right at the top. When you're in the bottom corner and behind the goal and there's thousands of you, like you said, Sam, they're out singing us. They're louder than us at our own stadium. And sometimes it's embarrassing when they're saying, we forgot you was here. And it's true. Because that muppet is giving them the fucking prime location seats. And they can sing and the whole ground can hear you. Whereas if you're right at the top, no one can hear you. No one wants to hear you. So
the players can't even really interact with you that much as well.
Yeah.
Do you think of all the lower section fans, when you interact in the away, that's where they go to. They go into the away fans.
Exactly.
I've seen that so many times. You don't do that St. James's Park because they're up there. You can't even see them. You're doing this. Well, again, these are little things. That shouldn't be taken as a reason why we lost the game. I don't want that to be the case.
No. It was
because remember when you were doing the preview, you were saying that the number of times we won at their place.
I know.
Last season was an aberration.
Exactly.
Yes. You know, we'd won all those games, and yet the fans are still up in the gods. I've been there when we've won games there. You know, Nasser Chadley scoring a goal, and we won the game there. But it's you know, the problem is where do you put the away fans in the new stadium? Where can you can't put them in a ghetto. I couldn't see it. You know, we're contracted to give them a certain percentage, and it may be that's where that percentage is contained. But
when you're designing,
it's up to us. It's up to us to silence their fans.
But Sean, when you're designing the stadium,
both as the players and as the fans,
of course. But when you're designing that stadium, Sean, the architect and whoever's in charge of designing it at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, surely you think about that and say, do you know what? Where do we put the away fans? No,
they thought about everything. They thought about the acoustics. They thought about the match day experience.
Exactly.
They thought about everything. So I'm sure they would have thought about that. Again, it could be down to a revenue things because it seems to me that there's a lot of fans in our stadium, away fans watching us, and they're all in that section from lower up to a point. They're never in that upper part.
No.
That's where I'd have put them. I'd have put them in the upper part of the north stand. You know what I mean? Or part of that west stand there. Sorry, the east stand because I'm in the west, the posh part. Sorry, I had to get a bit of laugh in somewhere because I feel like I can't laugh.
Showing off again.
Yeah. Look, even
what I'm saying?
Juicy said the best thing. Put them on the skywalk.
No.
Right.
What they do with I think up here and don't have away fans. Huh?
We're all agreed, though, that shouldn't be the cause for us winning and losing games. Though.
No.
That was a pathetic, shambolic, embarrassing performance from every single one. And unfortunately, the manager will have to take credit for it as well. Do you know what? There's this thing going around now. I don't know if you guys have read it or heard about it. They were talking about it on radio and everything. Postecoglou just stands on the touchline. He doesn't jump up and down like Arteta does. He doesn't do what Conte does. He doesn't rant and rave. He just stands there with his hands in his pocket. Blah, blah, blah. What a top guy. Blah, blah, blah. I want him to fucking start getting pissed off. I want him to start shouting, raising his hands. Why is he just, you know what I mean? I want my manager to be ranting and raving and people calling him a lunatic or I hate him like we all say about Arteta and Pep and Jurgen Klopp and all them lot. I don't want him standing there like that when you're performing like that on a pitch where it's shambolic.
David Clark's last thingy, that says it all. I think it's probably true. He's not more upset about the away fans. He's probably making more money out of it. I don't know because I don't know because it's a standard price for away tickets. But it just seems there's a lot of away fans there. There's a lot of away fans there. We've got 60,000 people at the state or 62,000 capacity stadium. So maybe the percentages should be that. But it just seems a lot. It seems a lot.
Forest game, neither of you two were there. I tell you now, it was embarrassing being a Spurs fan. because that stadium was empty. All you could hear was Forest. All you could hear was Forest up until the final whistle. Up until they went 1-0 up. And then we come back and then we started singing, You're Not Singing Anymore. But it was all Forest. And
I'm going to say this, and this is not a slant on the fans. This is not a slant on people's circumstances, but we pay a lot of money for them tickets, so it kind of prices. I hate to use the phrase "the working man" because everybody's a working person, but do you know what I'm saying? It price. You've seen the prices for tickets. You know the prices for our season tickets, so you're going to get a level of fan, and probably even people that are not staunch supporters. Because I've got on a season ticket, but there's about 4 or 5 seats next to me that it's not, and it's just randoms that I see, and they could be anybody. They're from abroad, or they're just coming to watch a good game of football because it's in London. I think that's part of the problem. I think we're so much of a brand and entertainment now, and we're looking to maximize profits and all the things from the ability to have a stadium that can generate that kind of couples in with the fan sort of thing. There's no, as you said, they're taking away, OAPs, seniors, and things like that. Where's the, back in the day, kids for £1.
Yeah,
I remember that for Forest and all that sort. When I used to go and see Forest and watch, that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. Kids for £5. Why don't you do kids for £5 1 week against the Cat C team? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do it? Why don't you do 1 week? You're playing a Cat C game, and you say, "Well, you know what? We're gonna go half price. Just do it once, because you will still make your money. You'll still make your money, but they won't do it.
They could do it at Burnley, for example.
Yeah,
they could do it for the Burnley game.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
easily.
If they wanted to fill the stadium, but anyway.
Absolutely. Did you watch Question of Sport? Ever watch Question of Sport?
Yeah, I used to watch Question of Sport back in the day. Yeah.
Next round, then, what we're going to do, what happens next? Question for both of you. What happens next? We've got a 2-week break, and then Arsenal come to our stadium. What happens now?
I travel down, have a very expensive weekend in London, and I hope that 90 minutes of hate brings us 3 points against Arsenal, but I can't see it. I really can't see it. They could just, depending on results, they'll have games in between, won't they? They've got their Champions League on Wednesday, and then they've got a league game next Saturday. So they'll have games to play, and it might suit them to go for a draw. They could maybe try and stink it out like they did at the Etihad. Don't really lay a glove on us, just take the point and go, and it might be enough to sort of, God forbid, for them to sort of go put themselves in the driving seat to win the title,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just despair that, we're coming up to the most important game in a Spurs fans season, this game, and they are miles ahead of us.
Next 3 games, Sean. Next 3 games it's Arsenal, Chelsea, and Man City. Next 3 games, and Chelsea are 5-0.
We ain't got Man City in that.
Sorry, Chelsea, and 5-0 up at the moment. Chelsea. So I'm telling you now, I'm dreading both them.
5-0. Oh my God.
They're 5-0.
They're finding a bit of form now as well. They are finding a bit of form.
4 goals.
They could sneak into the Conference League, Chelsea.
They could if they get above Man United. They can't get above us, but if they get above Man United, which they can do, it will be very, very nasty. But
only 3 points behind Man United,
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It could technically get above us, but we'd have to have a shocker. Anyway, you're right about the Arsenal thing, but the thing I like about the Arsenal game is, because Arsenal have potentially 2 games before they play us, at least 1 in terms of a league game.
Yeah.
If they go out to Bayern tomorrow, that would be a kick in the nuts for them. If they then not get the maximum points and then City go on and win their next 2 games, and Arsenal then find themselves on the back foot, because the fans are crying in their milk. They're already doing this. Oh God, we've done it again. We've blown it. I think that would be a positive for us, because that, along with the fact that we have to beat them and have to play at least fighting spirit will give us the advantage. If it's the other way around and City drop points and they win their games and they're coming to us to keep in that run or to even go back top, I fear it. But it'll be down to the players. That will always be down to the players on that day.
They've got Wolves, and then they play Chelsea.
Yeah, but Wolves have got half their players out of half the play. You know, like Neto absolutely tore us a new one. He's not playing, and I think that the Korean striker was back at the weekend, but you know, it's. I mean, anyway, here's a cheering thought. Chelsea have got FFP problems. They've got to raise a lot of money by the end of June. What happens if Man City say we'll have our player back?
Who, Palmer?
Is it? He's sold him, I don't think he's on loan. He's not on loan, is he? But yeah. But right. Oh,
but yeah. They'll say we'll use our buy, you know, because no doubt they inserted whatever it is, an option, you know, in any sale. Well, we'll waive that and we'll take it off you, you know, take them off you, and because Palmer will be great in that City team. He would be good in that City team. Yeah.
But if I was Pochettino, I'd say you can sell anybody else, but you sell him, then I can't work here. I couldn't work. If someone did that and said, right, we're going to have to sell him to get the money, I'd say, well, you can sell anybody else. You can sell Reece James. You can sell all them other...
Who's going to buy Reece James?
Apparently,
the guy's more injured than you know... His sister plays more games for Chelsea than he does.
Oh, dear me. That's cold.
Anyway, listen. We've done on 1 hour and 15 minutes. Before we go, I just want to thank everybody in the comment section. Thank you to all your comments. I'm talking Jay Ashraf, David Clark, Jews Nazis in the house. Where are we else? Who got? I saw a few more people here. Luca AFC was on. Alex Scott Experience.
Jay Ashraf's in the house. Jay Ashraf.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for all your comments. What's Ashraf saying here? If Angie's not learning the Fulham game and now Newcastle, then no chance. And David Clark is saying, wait till next season with Maddison and Magic Swede in partnership. Unstoppable.
Just a quick thing on the tactics. Just a quick thing on a tactical thing. You can. We know we talked about the inverted fullbacks. Well, because we're so aggressive in that, both the inverted fullbacks are playing in midfield. Now, again, this is the old style coaching for me. You could play, if you're playing on the left-hand side, then your right-hand side defender doesn't have to be as far forward. He could be in the half and half position, so he can get back into the defensive position and make a back three quicker. But because we're so attacking, we're just leaving both the flanks open. So again, the tactical tweak, if you're playing down the left, have Porro slightly deeper. Don't necessarily have to be as high. And when you're playing on the right and Porro's attacking, have a Doty slightly deeper, and maybe he can get back in. But again, I don't think we're going to see that. But that doesn't change anything philosophy-wise. It just changes a little bit of tactics on that. But hey ho, what do I know? What do I know?
Right. So before we go, guys, thank you for joining me, Sam. Thank you, Sean. However, there's just this one little thing I need to address. Congratulations, the Women's Football Club, Tottenham Hotspurs, for reaching the Women's FA Cup final by beating Leicester City 2-1. They're going to Wembley to play Manchester United. Whoever, wherever, all the Spurs fans, you need to get to Wembley. Is it May the 12th, Sean?
I think it might be, yeah. It's
May the 12th at Wembley Stadium.
It's the day after our Burnley game, yeah.
Yeah. Back the women's team for FA Cup final. Come on, lads. I didn't expect them to beat Leicester, to be fair, but we've got to go and support the women's team. It's a freaking trophy. Somebody hire someone to go and clean that cabinet, because we're going to bring the cup home.
Well done for the girls, actually. Well done, yeah. Well done, they had to do it the hard way, come from behind, but yeah.
Well, fair play. Yeah. Right, Sam, Sean, thank you very much. David Clark is still not happy about these fullbacks and fullbacks. He's still, and I agree with you, David, but there's nothing we can do, unfortunately. There's nothing we can change. It's like Take That said, or whoever it was, everything changes, but Ange doesn't change. Let's see what happens. because I'm going to take my sofa to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium when we play Arsenal, because we're going to have to be hiding behind that. You know what I mean? Because we'll need it. We'll need it.
Listen,
right.
You need to bring your microphones in, and we'll do interviews outside.
Do you know what? I am gonna.
We as fans have to be up for that game, and I'm talking every single person, whether what standard you're in, whether like you just got to be up for that game, because that's one of the factors that's going to make a difference in this. Yeah. We have to make it so hard for them, like what Chelsea did in the Battle of the Bridge for us.
Yeah, we will have to. We will have to, like you said, Sam. If it just means turning up for that one game, everyone's going to have to turn up for that game, because it technically could go haywire if the fans are not behind the team. You know,
because it doesn't matter how you're playing in the league. We've seen that in the past. It doesn't matter how you play, what position any of the teams are in, whether it's Arsenal. That's a game where we as fans expect the players to make sure they feel as much as we do, because we all going to feel it the next day if we don't get a victory. We're all going to feel it probably for the whole week. So, yeah, we've got to make sure that it's at least a fighting spirit that we see. Minimum.
I agree with you. It's got to be minimum. And you know what? We've got 2 weeks to prepare. Hopefully, Ange is doing the business, and we should. But I don't know. I'm not expecting anything, to be fair. But guys, thank you very much for joining me. Thank you to everyone in the comment section. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do.
That's me, David, in the West End. That's me. I sneak one in the bag. They don't search my bag all the time, so I might sneak the old prawn sandwich.
That's him. That's right.
The trouble with that time, you can't keep him out of Waitrose.
Absolutely.
He's the only person who shops in a Waitrose bag and actually does go into Waitrose. Yeah.
Right, lads. 1 hour 15, 1 hour 20. We could have gone for ages and ages. Sam, are you planning the talking points? Because conversations part 2 need to be had.
Thursday, I think we're going to try and do it. And like I said, I just want people to understand. I'm positive about Spurs. It might not seem this way, but I know the trajectory that we're on. There are things that we just need to be mindful of, and the manager has to also be mindful of. I just don't think the Premiership is a league where you can just play your way and not be concerned about the opposition. I think as a matter of course, that will be learned over this season, and hopefully with the additional quality next season, we should be better. But I can't see us challenging or winning the league next year. I can see us winning something, but I can't see us winning the Premier League. I'm just, maybe that's just me, but I don't. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, that's what we should be getting. We should be aiming for them too. Aiming for them.
Absolutely. And on that note, we will love you and leave you. Hope you have a great week. Hope you have a great 2 weeks, because it might be good to have a break from Tottenham Hotspur Football Club until we go back into action against Arsenal. Join us for the talking points and join us for a preview show at some point week after next. Up until then, enjoy whatever you're doing, wherever you're doing it. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
COYS Spurs.